In our introductory video, you learn the wet shrink technique for applying window film. A more advanced technique, used for a single-piece, curved rear window installation, is called the dry shrink method. Begin by making sure the outside of the window is clean. Use your normal cleaning solution and lint-free paper towels. Now put a very light dusting of baby powder on the glass. This will allow the film to slide around as it needs to during installation. To get a nice even coating, we recommend putting a small amount in your hand and blowing it out all across the glass. This acts as a friction reliever between the film and the glass when you are heat shrinking. Next, moisten a paper towel with mounting solution and wipe a single horizontal line across the middle of the window. Then wipe a line up and down each side of the window, making a large H. These points of moisture will act as the anchor for the film as you roll it across the window. At this point, it's important to move fast before the moisture evaporates. Lay a piece of film over the outside of the window with the factory edges at the top and the bottom. Move it around so it evenly covers the glass, stretching the film out with your hand and using the H pattern area to hold it down. Now mist the center with mounting solution. Squeegee out over the H pattern you made to anchor the film and spread it out evenly. This will give you a starting point for working on both pockets. Another hot tip for working on rear window film installation is to use a standard button when trimming your rough pattern and detailed final cuts. This tool will help keep you from scratching the soft glass frequently found in new cars. Place the button underneath the film. Put your Olfa knife blade into the button and press through the film, cutting your pattern as you would normally. Using this dry shrink method, cut the pattern about 1/4 to 1/2 inch larger on the sides and a full 1 inch larger along the top and bottom. This extra film allows for it to crinkle a bit on the edges during the heat shrink process, but still gives you area to trim off for a perfect installation. After cutting your rough pattern, center the film. Make sure that your H pattern is still moist and holding down the film to prevent it from moving on either side. After the heat shrink process, you will give it a final trim to match the window perfectly. Begin heat shrinking at the base point of the top or bottom pocket. The dry shrink method will not only allow you to shrink a larger area more quickly, but will also help eliminate any remnants of the heat shrinking pattern when installed over defroster lines. Just like wet shrinking, all dry shrinking must be done at the top and the bottom of the window along the factory edges. Using a circular motion with your heat gun, work the window in quarters, from the center out and pulling the film towards the factory edge. Allow the shrinkage to occur throughout the entire area instead of just in tiny bands as you would in the wet shrink method. This also eliminates or helps to reduce iridescence or ghosting with all metal films and allows you to shrink a harder curve more easily. After the top quarter, move down the center again, coming back towards you, working only 1/4 of the window at a time. Only shrink as far as you need to, which means getting the film formed but not laying it down perfectly yet. You'll begin to see the film form to the shape of the glass. Smooth out the film using your free hand. Now move to the other side of the car, working in the same way, 1/4 of the window at a time. As the film forms, don't overheat it. It doesn't need to lay perfectly flat at this point. Now that the majority of the shrinking is done, revert to the basics of the wet shrink method to lay the film out. Be sure that it is formed everywhere necessary. Lift the film up and mist the window with mounting solution. Lay the film back down. Mist again on top of the film and squeegee. If there are any small fingers left after spreading it out and squeegeeing, use the heat gun to shrink them out using the wet shrink method. Starting from the center, squeegee across, down, and then up the window, pulling the film towards the corners. Repeat this process on the other side of the window. The whole process of stretching the film out and squeegeeing with water is to make sure that all fingers are shrunk sufficiently and there aren't any left on the window. Use your hand to move any big fingers of film. Once again, if there are any small fingers left, use the heat gun to shrink them out. Now that the film is spread out, anchored down to the window, and all fingers are gone, it's time to make your final cut. Begin at the bottom of the window. If you're using a button to protect the window, place it underneath the film. Put your Olfa knife blade down into it and draw it carefully along the glass, just barely over the dot matrix. Remove any excess film. Next, trim along the top of the window and the side. Then move to the other side of the window, repeating the same process. Cut around your defroster tabs as your final step. Your pattern is now completed. Remove the film and carry it over to your glass wall. Mist the wall with solution. Then mount the film while you prep the inside of the car window. If there are any fine pieces that need to be cut, do so now. The smoother the cuts, the easier the release liner will come off the film. Your pattern is now ready to be installed. When installing a large piece of film by yourself inside a car, it's important to remember to prep the window completely before you bring the film into the car. When you're ready, peel the liner off and spray the adhesive. Carefully remove the film from the trimming glass and lay it over both hands. Walk backwards to the car. Walking backwards to the car will reduce contamination, which can stick to the exposed film. Enter the car slowly and place yourself in the center of the rear seat. Slowly position the film and carefully bring it to the window, keeping the adhesive from touching any of the interior surfaces. Start the film in the middle of the window and slide it down. Place a little more film against the glass and continue to slide it down. Using this method will allow one person to install a large piece of film without any contamination problems.